to session 3. In our discussion thread, we're going to be looking at transferable skills. So far, we've written a 5-paragraph paper, and now we're going to be writing a literary analysis. So part of what we're doing is saying, sure, a literary analysis is different, but how is it also the same? So let's take this apart. We have our first question, which is about looking at our reading, looking for the skills that are transferable, and choosing two that we want to talk about a little bit more and sharing how we want to continue developing those skills. So rather than reading all of this for you, I want to talk about a key concept. When we look at an assignment, we need to first understand what the key questions are, and then we need to have that broken down into steps for how we intend to process it. This can be as sort of formal or informal as you need it to be. That depends on the project for me. So our first part is looking at the reading and discussing at least 2 skills that are transferable across all these different paper types. And the second part is how are we going to make that happen? How are we going to develop those skills? Notice the continue part, because most likely you are going to be drawn to skills that you are already using or that fit into ways that you like to approach problem solving. So first, what's the reading list? We're looking at a PDF. It is chapter 2 in a workbook. And so we want to look at that list and say, what's going on? What's the reading? Let's get it done. The second part I would encourage you to do is choose a couple skills to look at. When we look at the breakdown of those skills, we're going to see that there are about 6. So choose a couple of them, not all of them, to sort of do a little bit more in depth on. And finally, from that short list, so you've narrowed it down from 6 to 4, now we're going to choose 2 that we want to grow in, that we want to know more about. Finally, we're going to ask ourselves, how can we make that happen? Is there a particular example that helps us recognize the next step that we could take in using something like annotating or planning? So what I did for the reading list and figuring out what these skills are is that I looked at the subheadings in that chapter. And the first major subheading was about reading literature. The second major subheading was about writing about literature. And then those were divided further into subsections. So the main concept about reading is that we don't want to be passive. We want to be active. And active often means interacting with the text. So 3 great ways to do that are previewing, highlighting, and annotating. So when you look at that list, just glancing at it, and as you start to do the reading, think about the one that really fits you, that you want to know more about, and that could be a natural extension for implementing in your own work. Writing about literature, you'll see a lot of key details that we're already doing. We're making a plan for our 5-paragraph paper. We're drafting it, but we also want to do a little editing. We want to see if we're really on track. Again, which one is most interesting to you? Which one has the more key details that you want to utilize? So here's our next step. We've chosen 3 or 4, and that helps us narrow down what we want to focus on. Start looking at those examples. What pictures are really drawing you? Which concepts are really interesting? This helps you, instead of sort of looking at everything and feeling overwhelmed, you're looking at it saying, oh, there are 6, there are all these pages. Like, what am I going to do? We're already narrowing it down to 4. We're cutting some of that out. We're focusing in. Maybe only 3 really interested you. That's fine. And now we want to pick from those. So ask yourself, what is most like what you're already doing? That's going to be an answer I give on the next slide. And what seems like a natural extension? So if I'm asking you to do it, I'm going to do it. So I picked annotating and planning. This is obviously not my final discussion thread, but it's me showing you sort of how I'm arriving at that process. So I picked annotating because I work from home. I get distracted a lot. So taking notes in my text really helps because I can see the last space I underlined, the last question I asked, and that sort of sets me for asking my next question and starting in the next area. I can recognize where I quit reading. I also like to make lists. I love to outline my day. I love to have my grocery list. So planning looks a lot like list making. That's where our natural inclination fits in. Ask what you like to do when you're shopping or when you're cleaning the house or you're working on a project. Do you make a list? Do you gather pictures? Do you do research? What part of it is the most interesting to you? What's already sort of fitting into your life? So go out there, explore, share with all of us. Remember, it's partly about what you are finding exciting, but it's also about sharing with the rest of us so that we all grow and develop and do more.